Welcome back to Redeeming Reels, a show that seeks to watch movies and see the redemption within the reels. Today, if you've clicked on this video, if you've clicked on this podcast episode, you already know what is in store. Today, I'm going to be talking about and giving my maybe long awaited, I don't know, review of Barbie and Oppenheimer. You might have already heard it. You can go check out my and my brother's kind of initial thoughts and review on Barbenheimer on the Chick and the Duck podcast. If you want to go check that out, please do so. July 21st was a big day. It was a big day for film lovers, movie theaters, and the box office. Over the last 2 weeks, Barbenheimer, as it has been coined, has racked over $1.4 billion. Barbie has surpassed $900 million, and it's looking to pass $1 billion later this week. And Oppenheimer is right around $450 million at the worldwide box office, which is extremely impressive for a 3-hour rated R biopic, right? And so I'm going to be reviewing 2 separate movies today, and so the flow of these reviews will always go like this. I want to give my technical review of the film, giving my thoughts on what I enjoyed, also what I didn't enjoy, as well as my favorite part. This is something that I didn't do last on my first review on Asteroid City, which is a bummer, but maybe I kind of did. But going to movies growing up with my family, and especially my mom, we would get in the car and we'd be driving. My mom would always ask, what was your favorite part? And that's always been something that I've wanted to continue on, and I love the idea of the thought, and I know it's not original or anything like that, but it's special to me, and so that's something I'll always include in my reviews. I'm trying to do it more on Letterboxd. You can follow me on Letterboxd at 182nd in the description, and yeah, I'm just trying to do that more, and so trying to give what my favorite part is and why. And then I'll give it a score out of 100 and out of 5 stars, and then a redemptive kind of pastoral analysis of the film. So I'm going to start with Barbie, and then we'll get into Oppie. So Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig, written by Greta Gerwig alongside her husband Noah Baumbach, starring Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, America Ferrera, Ariana Greenblatt, Kate McKinnon, Michael Cera, Will Ferrell, Issa Rae, and more. Very, very stacked cast. It was photographed, cinematographed, don't know how to say it, by Rodrigo Prieto. And the film was composed by Mark Ronson. The tagline of this film is, "She's everything, and he's just Ken." And I believe that's very, very fitting for the film. Barbie follows Barbie and Ken, obviously, as they're having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and the perils of living amongst humans. Barbie was a good time. I definitely had a good time with it. I did see this twice. I saw Oppenheimer 3 times so far. That tells you anything. I saw Barbie twice because I wanted to get a more in-depth kind of analysis and review of it, because I definitely didn't enjoy it as much the first time. And I'll tell you what I didn't enjoy and all that. But the second time around, I had a lot better of time. And so let me just start with the good things that I like. So first off, Barbie is just an absolute delight to look at. Visually, this movie is inspiring. Barbie excels in incredible production and costume design. And the real beauty of the set pieces and the costume changes is that it really just draws you into this world, into this Barbie land. It's eccentric, it's colorful, it's a lot of fun to look at. And I would be absolutely shocked if they didn't get an Oscar nomination and an Oscar win in the production design category. I just thought it was super fun to look at, and it was beautiful. It was everything you would expect kind of Barbie land to be. And I was really happy with it. So we were also given very good acting performances from a multitude of different people. Obviously, you had some cameos from like Dua Lipa and like John Cena. Will Ferrell, I think, was fine. I mean, he he's Will Ferrell, but I think he's somewhat lost kind of his comedic uh, timing. And so he was like fine. It was okay. Michael Cera as Alan, I think was perfect. Great comic relief, just super funny. America Ferrera is great in this as well. She's very much a big surprise in the film in terms of just acting performance. Ryan Gosling, I think, is fantastic. Everything he does in this entire film is just wonderful and an absolute delight. I do think he's going to get nominated for the best supporting actor role. I don't think he'll win, but I think he has a chance to be nominated. I think he deserves it. Yeah, he does an incredible job in this film. And I do think he's really underrated just as a comedic actor. When I think of Ryan Gosling, you think of 2049, you think of Drive, you think of Place Beyond the Pines, you think of all these kind of serious roles, La La Land, of course, and a couple others. But he's very good as a comedic actor. The Nice Guys, Crazy Stupid Love, and now Barbie has great examples of his comedic acting and his comedic timing. I really, really enjoyed it. It's really on display here. So he's fantastic. I'm Just Ken song is just amazing. It's great. I loved it. And I got to visit his Mojo Dojo Casa House. But this really is Margot Robbie's film, and I think she's absolutely stunning in this. She's charming. She's funny. She plays every aspect of Barbie perfectly. She's the literal essence of Barbie, and just her acting ability is just really comes out here, and she really shows her acting chops, which we've seen before in other films, but she's just, especially like in Babylon, but she's just brilliant. I think she's an incredible actress, and she has the range of playing this perfect stereotypical Barbie, and then also this Barbie that's dealing with like existential dread almost, and so that's super fun, and it was sublime. You'll know if you know, you know. Greta Gerwig is incredible as the woman in the director's chair here. She's 3 for 3 on films with Lady Bird, Little Women, and now Barbie. And Barbie's not as good as the first 2 of those of her films, but still good. She's really becoming quite the director, and it gets me really excited for her future films and the fact that she's going to be directing some Chronicles of Narnia movies. Makes me really, really excited. So she's great. Her style really shines through in some of these moments, and she has a very tender touch on the camera, and that is very evident. This film is obviously a comedy. Like, there's no denying that there's comedic elements of this film. I mean, it's categorized as a comedy, but the jokes, I did feel like they landed. There were some jokes that were really, really funny. When they made fun of Zack Snyder's Justice League, funny. There's a scene where the Barbies are trying to get the other Barbies to be kind of away from from the Kens, basically. And one of them was like, just say you've never seen The Godfather before, and then a Ken like over explains The Godfather. It was funny, good moments. Some laugh out loud moments. Alan is great, like I said. But this is also where some of the critiques come in. The movie obviously makes fun of men quite a bit, which I don't think is inherently an issue. When I first watched it, I will be 100% honest and transparent. I got offended and I didn't enjoy it. I walked out of the theater upset and kind of like, that was stupid. But I obviously enjoyed it a lot more the second time. When you do look at it as more satirical, because I think that's what it's supposed to be. And I do think there's some essence of Christ just absolutely shining bright throughout this film. And we'll get there in a second. But this movie does make fun of men. Sometimes it's absolutely hilarious. There's just moments that are stereotypical and funny, and I just really, really enjoyed those. But then at the same time, some of it felt very forced and kind of ham-handed. The film has been widely talked about as a feminist film and women empowerment and all those things, and it's 100% that. And some of those elements are within those simple jokes or the quiet moments, especially at the end of the film. And they work really, really well. America Ferrera has a scene where she kind of gives this kind of speech, and I think it is well done, and I enjoyed it. Maybe not the first time, but after kind of, it sounds silly, but time in prayer and time of kind of reflecting on the first watch, and then I watched the second time, I enjoyed it. But like I said, there's moments where Greta Gerwig really shines, and she delivers insightful commentary on womanhood and the struggle of women in our world today, and true toxic kind of incel masculinity, which is obviously a thing. But then there are other moments where the messaging feels phony, corny, and very forced. And so those were kind of my issues with it. They weren't the biggest deal, especially the second time around. I was able to kind of conceptualize it and realize it was coming. I was kind of shocked the first time it came around, and therefore I kind of didn't like it. And then I was like, I really feel like I should give this movie another chance after reading some articles from Christians who I really respect and agree with their opinions on a lot of things and just their theology. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see where this is going. But overall, it was a fun time. I did enjoy it a lot. I did give it 84 out of 100 for 4 out of 5 stars. It is sitting at my number 14 movie on the 2023 year. So overall, very good. There's things I didn't like, but I don't want to kind of, just dismiss everything that I liked just because there were some things that I didn't like. But Barbie does, I believe, a lot theologically, and it took 2 viewings, like I've said, to fully grasp what it does communicate. But Barbie definitely illustrates a reverse picture of the Garden of Eden. In the beginning of this film, Barbie Land is run by the girls. It's run by the Barbies. They have all the jobs. They have all the cabinet positions, the Supreme Court justices, the judges, the governor. I mean, everything is Barbies. President Barbie. They do everything. And the Kens are just there. They're just kind of existing there. They don't really have a house. All the Barbies have their dream houses. They just kind of exist in Barbie Land. It doesn't really tell us where they are, but they just kind of are there. Ryan Gosling, his job is beach, and his sole purpose is just to get noticed by Barbie. If he wants to have a good day, Barbie's got to like smile at him. And that's kind of what Kens are like. Ken is seemingly an afterthought. He's an accessory to Barbie, which leads him to create this patriarchy after he sees it in the real world, and it becomes this whole thing. Obviously, that's kind of a big plot of the movie. I don't want to spoil everything. He creates the frat house, the Mojo Dojo Casa house in Barbie Land, and completely take over. Right, but there's this inverted Genesis that shows us a common misinterpretation of Genesis chapter 2, which tells us that God created woman out of man, created a suitable helper for Adam, and it's which some Christians have wrongfully interpreted, in my opinion, as meaning the women are just an accessory to men, or just there to be there without any real purpose or drive or motive, just kind of there on the side. In the same way that Ken is to Barbie in the beginning of this film, right? So it kind of shows you like a reverse image of Genesis in the misinterpreted version, right? Ken is just an accessory to Barbie, as some Christians wrongfully interpret Genesis 2 to be women are just an accessory to men. As Amy Peeler, she's a professor of New Testament at Wheaton College, she says, when women are viewed as daughters of an unnecessary Eve, they struggle to find their own purpose and meaning disconnected from men. They struggle to know what it looks like to take up their own cross and answer to Jesus' call, a call given to all disciples, not just male ones. And I think that's a very, very good point. That Eve is a suitable helper, yes, but she's an equal helper. She's a co-creator, a co-caretaker of the garden, right? No matter if you're egalitarian, you're complementarian, we can all agree that Eve is necessary and has a role and a purpose to fulfill with her husband, Adam. They are combined, like together, they are one. The first time God said something was not good was for Adam to be alone. So Adam and Eve both needed each other. They were both meant for each other to coexist and live life, glorifying God, making disciples, bringing forth the kingdom of God. And so if we understand this view of Genesis, then it both disproves the beginning and the middle of this movie. Both the patriarchal and the matriarchal worlds is not good and cannot work. Right? That's what I didn't see at first in Barbie Land. At first, it's all women, and it doesn't work. The matriarchy doesn't work. And then later in the film with Ken and all the Kens, the patriarchy, it doesn't work. Barbie Land with aimless Kens is unjust, but so is Kendom with subservient Barbies. Barbie Land will become a world in which both women and men find individual purpose and healthy partnership. And that is the prayer that Jesus has for us. As men and women, we would partner together because we are equal. We have different roles, maybe, depending on your view of Scripture, of course. But we have different roles. We have different things we do. We have different strengths, but we are together. We are equal in the sense that we have this partnership together to bring forth the kingdom of God, to make disciples of all nations. And that's where Jesus was kind of really sticking out to me after I read some articles and did my second viewing, and it really stood out to me. But I also do want to touch on my favorite parts of this film. Besides anything, Ryan Gosling, his whole Kenough thing, or when there's a quote really funny when he's talking to Barbie about the patriarchy, and he's like, because the patriarchy associated with horses at the very beginning, because that was kind of the book he read. But he said, like, I stopped caring about the patriarchy when I learned it wasn't about horses. I'm like, yeah, same, bro. At the end of the film, there's a couple moments. One briefly I want to touch on. America Ferrera was talking about creating an ordinary Barbie. That there's a moment where she's like, a woman can be whatever. Like, create a Barbie where it could be a president Barbie if you wanted to, or create a Barbie where it could just be a mom, because it doesn't have to be this. It doesn't, like, you don't have to make women be something that they're not. They can just be, whether they want to be a stay-at-home mom, whether they want to be a president, whether they want to be a CEO, whether they want to work as an admin, like, it doesn't, or a nurse, or whatever the case may be. A woman can be whatever, and that's what the Barbie should represent. I thought that was really touching. But my favorite part of this entire film is at the very end with the Ruth Handler, the actress, I forget her name, playing Ruth Handler, and Margot Robbie's stereotypical Barbie. And it's a moment where Barbie becomes human. She's talking to her and she's like, I don't feel like Barbie anymore. And she says, I want to be a part of the people that make meaning. I want to do the imagining, not be the idea. And that's touching, and that's beautiful. It's this beautiful scene where Margot Robbie is just, acting her butt off. But Margot's Barbie accepts and feels what it means to be human. And Greta Gerwig is brilliant. It shows this montage of kind of VHS style videos of different women on set and what it means to be a woman, in kind of that experience. Because the character Ruth, is like, you need to feel what it's like to be human. And then it shows this kind of montage, and Barbie's acceptance of life's inherent uncertainties, imperfections, and inevitable end. Kind of the mortality, right? It's an admission to the richness of the human experience, right? Despite its fleeting nature, holds more value than an eternal yet hollow plastic existence. And I found that really powerful. Not because I don't know how I did, honestly, because it's obviously she's playing a doll, and they do such a Greta Gerwig's brilliant in the way that she writes this, and that Barbie doesn't want to be just a toy, doesn't want to be the idea. She wants to be the thing that creates, that imagines, that has this essence to them that is so beautiful, and we know that that's the image of God. And so I found it really powerful, and especially the second time viewing, I was like, that makes me enjoy and be proud of just being a human created in the image and the likeness of God, because I get to have that imagination. I get to give things meaning with God as a co-creator. It's just really beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. So like I said, 84 out of 100, my number 14 movie on the year, 4 out of 5 stars for Barbie. Could be the highest grossing movie of 2023. But I did love Barbie. I did enjoy it. But that was not my favorite movie of Barbenheimer. Oppenheimer is everything you would expect it to be. Oppenheimer is directed by the great Christopher Nolan. I believe it's his 11th film. It is the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb during World War II. It's directed and written by Christopher Nolan, starring Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, and many more. There's so many great actors in this film. Shot by Hoyt van Hoytma, and it was composed by Ludwig Göransson. And I love both those men. They did a great job in this film. But where do I start? So Oppenheimer is a technical masterpiece. It's a historical terror, and it's easily one of the greatest films I think I've ever seen in my entire life. This is Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, and his best film he has ever done. I think it's better than The Dark Knight. It's better than Interstellar. It's better than Prestige. The more that I think about this film, the more I love it, the more I appreciate it, the more I think how great it actually is. And I'm just going to go on record by saying my least favorite part, I'm going to start right here, is the nudity. I didn't like the nudity. Shocking. I think that it wasn't necessarily needed per se. Granted, I'm not Christopher Nolan. He's not exactly one to do nudity often in his films, and so he clearly thought that it was necessary for, obviously, the womanizer that Oppenheimer was and this kind of his sexuality. But it was my least favorite part. I'm not going to dock points from it because of it, but needless to say, I didn't like it. But we shouldn't be shocked by that. But as for what I loved, I mean, literally everything. First off, just Ludwig's score is haunting. He just did such a good job captivating the audience, captivating myself with these intense and these larger than life sounds. Hoyt van Hoytman, in his shots, his cinematography is just perfect. The camera work is gentle but so forceful. Every shot seems so intentional and well crafted. I could talk for hours and hours about it. The explosions and the VFX with the Trinity testing and all the shots of kind of like the atom splitting kind of throughout the beginning of the film is just mesmerizing. And the back and forth between color and black and white is just amazing. It could not have been shot better. It was absolutely incredible. And Oppenheimer has what I think to be the greatest collective acting performances in history. Cillian Murphy is perfect. He was born for this role. We got to give this man flowers. Gives one of the just most subtle, greatest acting performances in the last 10 years. Give this man an Oscar, please. But the acting clinic obviously does not stop with Cillian Murphy. We get a laundry list of fantastic supporting actor and actress performances. Robert Downey Jr. gives his best performance of his entire career and just is perfect as Louis Strauss, kind of the antagonist of the film. Matt Damon is great. Rami Malek gives like 3 minutes of absolute acting perfection. Tom Conti as Einstein is amazing. Jason Clarke, Aaron Reich were 100% surprises for me, and they were fantastic. Jason Clarke kind of in the interrogation room just beating down Cillian Murphy. It was incredible. But Emily Blunt in the final 30 minutes is powerful acting. Just easily, I mean, we're going to get so many nominations. Cillian's a lock for Best Actor. RDJ's a lock for Best Supporting, and Emily Blunt is a lock for Best Supporting Actress. I think that all those three will win 100%. I also enjoyed Tom Conti as Einstein as well. That was pretty great. But I mean, performances just all around, even people that I didn't mention, everything was perfect. Like the fact that Josh Peck was just amazing in the whatever 2 minutes of screen time that he had, but 1 minute and a half of that was him about to press this button for the Trinity test, and just his body language and his act. Oh, it was incredible. Everybody did such a good job in this film. Acting performances truly for the ages. Christopher Nolan's direction, I don't need to say anything. The dude's a wizard. He knows what he's doing. He's amazing, and I loved every second of this film. I did give this film 100 out of 100. On first, I gave it 99, second 99, and then on my third rewatch, I did bump it. I think the movie is, in my opinion, perfect. Recency bias, I'm sorry. It's the 11th film out of 1,200 films. I've given 11 films a perfect score, and I think this is one of them. And it's the number one film of the year. Somehow it's better than Spider-Verse. And I have been reflecting on this film quite a bit because there's a weight to it. If you've seen it, you know that there's a weight. There's a lot to talk about. And the thing about this film is, like in Barbie, there's like singular moments where I'm like, yeah, Jesus, you're right there kind of communicating. And I see where the redemption of your heart is just present. In this, everything is just all intertwined. It kind of blurs together. There's no singular moment where I'm like, oh, yeah. There's moments where Oppenheimer calls the Trinity test a terrible revelation of divine power. There's a moment where a physicist, Niels Bohr, recognizes that something has changed. However, he offers like this prophetic observation that it's not a new weapon, it's a new world. There's just a weight and a heaviness to this film about the reality of the world that we live in today. And as I watched, I just felt myself wanting to connect with God because of how powerful this was and how like haunting it was. And like, what do I feel? What do I do? Like, how am I supposed to react to something like this? Oppenheimer feels remorse and regret from the atom bomb, and as Dr. or D. Markel of Think Christian, he says Oppenheimer seeks to secure international cooperation and broker a commitment to not escalate matters with the hydrogen bomb, or worse. What he wants is to give everyone involved the chance to make the right choice, to lead with mercy and strive to preserve life rather than destroy it. And I think that that's one thing that it has really left me with. As I ponder is like, will we lead with mercy, with peace? What is the world that we're going to leave behind? As we kind of recognize these consequences of Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer, will we be kind of what he envisioned, I guess, to be merciful and peaceful, or are we going to be the atom bomb? I don't know. And I am sort of at a loss of words about this film still. But I really feel like there's no real points to be made. I've read some articles that they did make great points, but when I think about it, as I pray, as I kind of interact with God about this film, it's more of like, not what's the point that's being made, but what does God want me to feel? What weight does God want me to recognize during this? What am I supposed to do with this information? With this little masterpiece of a film, what am I supposed to do? And so that's what I'm pondering. God, what do you want from me? So that's my encouragement to anybody listening: is watch this movie and just be like, God, what do you want me to feel? Do you want me to feel mercy? Do you want me to feel regret? Do you want me to pray for our world? Like, lead me in whatever way you want to lead me, because that's what I've been trying to do. I have not done it well, because I'm not perfect, but that's what I want to do. I want God to change my heart in the way that is seemingly Oppenheimer's heart was changed, because you see the weight of this. There's a weight to consequences. There's a weight to sin. Not saying that necessarily Oppenheimer was sinning in his creation of the bomb, but when you try to play God, there's consequences. And I think God wants us to feel the weight of this and the complexity and the horror that is the world we live in now, and the real brokenness that we do live in. So that's kind of the redemption that I have. It's just kind of a feeling of, what do I do with this dread? What do I do with this? I believe it is so that we turn to Jesus and his mercy, and so that we can enact mercy, to his peace, to his grace, to his love. So but I do, because of this weight, regardless, I still want to talk to you about my favorite parts of this film. And I do have three. First is the Trinity test. I think it's an absolutely breathtaking piece of filmmaking and storytelling. I know what's going to happen, but I'm on the edge of my seat. It was gripped. It was intense. It was loud. It was amazing. Like, it's just was incredible. My second favorite part, is the gymnasium scene. If you've seen it, you see the regret in Oppenheimer, and everybody's cheering about Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the essentially winning of the war and all this stuff. And kind of the sound design in that moment was the best I've ever seen or ever heard in a film. And Oppenheimer, it turns in like this horror scene, and you kind of see the effects of the bombing on these people in the crowd that he's speaking to. And you see this deeper, you gotta watch it I can't do it justice just by saying what I'm saying. So, breathtaking scene. And then the final scene, I think, is one of the greatest endings to a film. And I use great all the time. Yeah. If Jenna listens to this, my wife, she'll definitely agree that I say that too much, but truly is one of the best ending scenes in any movie I've ever seen. And it's a scene between Albert Einstein and Oppenheimer. And at the very beginning, kind of towards the beginning of the film, as they're making the atomic bomb, they were kind of worried that the radiation from the bomb would set fire to the Earth's core and then blow up the world, from like a scientific perspective. And he went to Einstein. He's like, "Do you think this will happen?" He's like, "Can you run the test?" And Einstein's like, "No, I'm not running the test," basically. And they were friends and whatnot, or at least acquaintances. And um, so they were afraid that it would cause a chain reaction that would set fire to the Earth's core and then blow up the world. And at the end of this film, Oppenheimer goes and he's talking to Albert Einstein. And he said, Oppenheimer asks Einstein to remember a conversation they had in the past, one we saw discussed earlier in this film, right? Where calculations indicated the possibility that chain reactions from detonating the atomic bomb could wind up destroying the entire world. And Einstein tells him that he's like, I remember it well. What of it? And I have goosebumps. One of the most just jaw-dropping, jarring, heart-stopping final lines. Oppenheimer says, "I believe we did." Cause that chain reaction, and then you see, just these nukes and the missiles and kind of the world kind of exploding, in kind of like a VFX type way, and it's haunting. It's hard. It's heavy. I feel the heaviness now, and so I'm just reminded that in the heaviness and the weight of these consequences and these sins, that we have a God that's good, and I'm thankful for that. So, not to try to be super heavy, it is a heavy movie. I 100% recommend it. I think everybody should go see Barbie and Oppenheimer. But thank you for listening and spending the last 30 minutes of your day with me, or night, or whatever you're doing. But I hope you participated in Barbenheimer. And if you didn't, I definitely encourage you to go do so. Maybe don't do it in the same day, by any means, but please go watch and support these movies. I think they're both good, but Oppenheimer is definitely better. So thank you for listening. What was your favorite part?